Hi, ladies. Welcome back. I want to ask you a question. Is it okay to call your kid an asshole? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. The reason I ask is because going through the hormonal changes of menopause, I've become a bit of a nightmare at home. And I find myself yelling at my poor little daughter and my husband over nothing. But mostly, I find I have no patience, no tolerance. She probably thinks I'm always mad at her. And I don't know how to temper that. I think I'm going crazy.
I have 2 teenage girls.
Oh, you win.
So I think I win.
You all have hormones.
We all have hormones, and I'm sure we've all yelled something awful to each other, in the last 30 days.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there's a lot of that in the household, and I'm with you. I'm on the side of if we can try not to call our kids an asshole, we should try, mainly because our hormones are surging.
Yeah.
Our hormones are enraged, and we don't want to be thinking of ourselves and be that person.
Yeah.
That, I hear a lot from people. They're like, oh yeah, my mom, she went crazy in menopause.
Yes, she probably did.
Menopause lasts for the rest of your life.
Goody.
Right? So once you're in menopause, you're in menopause. It's a room you enter. It's not like a revolving door and you go back to where you were.
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't say that. But is it always like this sort of emotional mayhem?
Probably the most emotional time would be anywhere from 8 years before your period stops, to sort of 2-3 years after, right?
Right.
Because even after your period stops, your ovaries are still trying to push out those hormones.
Yeah.
And those eggs.
Yeah.
So you've got a 10-year period, essentially, where, our emotions are surging, our hormones are surging, and we're trying to keep it under control while also rearing young children, right?
So that means, if I have 10 years, my daughter will be 16 when I stop, and she'll just be turning into her own hormonal nightmare. My poor husband, he is going to need a Hurt Locker outfit. He's going to have to move out.
Yeah, so but it's important to be aware of that, right? 16 is a tough time, but even 12 becomes a tough time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And I find it starting earlier as the generations move on.
It could be 8 or 9.
I'm still dealing with teaching her stuff, teaching her to clean up, all those crazy things. I've got, my husband and I are cluttery kind of people, so I'm dealing with that sort of chaos. I'm dealing with behavior. I'm dealing with girl drama. I'm dealing with play dates and all this crazy stuff, plus my own career. And I find that, whoever gets me at the end of the day, that poor sucker, because that's when I am at my least tolerance level. So I snap at her, I snap at my husband, and anyone who's in a radius. But if I can just stop and take a couple of deep breaths and just, the first thing out of my mouth is probably never a good idea. So those deep breaths help me to sort of recalibrate a little. I'm still angry, I'm still frustrated, but I'll speak calmer to her, because if I scream at her, it gets me nowhere. But if I can speak calmly, she knows that I'm in control. Fake it till you make it. And I'll get a better response from her. We've heard other women make jokes about calling their kids names. It's not funny. I would never think to do that in a moment of rage. I'll get mad and I might scream about something that is irrational, but I would never resort to name calling, because that's going to be something that they remember.
But if things start to become a pattern in terms of name calling, then we keep those words in our heads, and they just become easier to throw out the next time. So, for younger children especially, a lot of psychologists will espouse the view that you need to give them 12 hugs a day, at least.
Oh, no problem in my house.
Having these things built in will help us cope, right? It's going to be a lot harder for us to react to a kid if we kind of in our heads think, oh, they still need 6 more hugs a day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's just like a baseline. I think a second coping mechanism that's really important that we don't focus on, especially with younger children, is sleep.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're getting up in the middle of the night You know, they're getting up in the middle of the night, and all of that contributes to the sleeplessness that can easily lead to tempers erupting. So, you know, we have to ensure that our children are in a good sleep cycle. Yeah. It's like our own preservation, our own survival. You know, dealing with motherhood and menopause is just being aware of their hormonal cycles in addition to ours. So, of course, if they're girls, they're going to have more defined, in many ways, hormonal cycles than boys. Boys who go through puberty late are quite different than boys who are going through puberty early. Okay. Girls, same with girls. I have one who went through puberty at an average age, and then I have one who went through puberty late. Oh, okay. And it's amazing how that shapes their profiles and, you know, and their personalities. Yeah. But now, okay, so you have teenage girls. You could probably talk to them about what you're going through. I have a 6-year-old. I believe in open communication. I talk to her when I'm sad. I tell her if, you know, something's not, you know, if I'm upset about something, I tell her in a very relatable way to her. But I don't know how to explain to her that mommy's body is changing, and I'm not really a psychopath. I'm just going through a little something. You know, it's too much to put on a kid. So I always struggle with the fact that my daughter's going to look back on her childhood and remember that mommy was the Wicked Witch. My older one, I think, first learned about sex when she was 6 because it came through a class trip, and I got a call from a mom saying, you know, I just wanted to let you know the girls were in the back seat, and, you know, and one of them was talking to the others about, you know, penises and vaginas and sex. So, of course, I went out and I got the book and I talked to my daughter about it and explained everything and so forth. So, my point being is that was 6. Yeah. Right? Okay. And so... menopause is nothing compared to that topic. I think so, right? At 6, they have some cognizant sort of, you know, knowledge of these things, but they don't understand everything. No, right? Of course not. Yeah, she doesn't even know what her body's doing. Exactly. So to know that mommy's body's going completely out of whack right now doesn't mean anything to her. It'd probably scare her. Yeah, well, yeah. But it's also important, though, to help her understand that her body's going to go through changes, too. Yeah. Pre-puberty starts at 8. What? Yeah, so a lot of kids are already starting to get, boys and girls are starting to get that first hormone flush at 8. So that's why you actually, at that age, grade 3, you start to see more social drama because hormones are starting to kick in. So more drama than I'm seeing now. More drama than you're seeing now. I've got so much ahead of me. Yeah. So I think having that conversation, you know, about puberty, you know, is important for them. And then in the context of what you're doing, what you're feeling, and how your body's changing, they're going to learn too. What we don't want is we don't want them to think, oh my gosh, my mom's crazy, and just, you know, calls me names. And that went on for 10 years, and then, you know, and then I disappeared because I was like 16. I have to be very aware that I thought maybe I would explain to her that mommy's body's going through some changes, but I'm explaining it to her because she's seeing the negative aspect of it. I don't want to then explain to her when she's 8, your body's going to go through changes, because then she's going to be like, what? I'm going to go nutso like you, lady? Yeah, I don't want her to fear her own hormones. Right. That's right. For me to fear. That's right. For sure. And, you know, something my partner and I, we always say to each other is, you know, we love each other more than ever. Yeah. And so he understands, okay, that, you know, that one day that I threw the flowers back at him, that he bought me had absolutely nothing to do with my love for him. Yes. That was an awful progesterone drop. Yeah. And it was totally bitchy and unaccounted for. I know. And it happened even though I knew better. But that's the thing. Right. It's happening. I'm yelling at her over something ridiculous. And I know better. I know. I can hear myself from like an out-of-body experience going, what are you doing? Like, my husband seriously thinks that my tantrums are more childish than hers. Right. And I just say, I know you are, but what am I? Yeah, we all need to change our narratives. We are not immune to that. That's great advice. So, you know, changing the narrative, taking some deep breaths, and reinforcing that love whenever you get a sane moment. I think those are really good ways to sort of balance this. Because, I mean, let's face it, these outbursts are going to happen.
They're going to happen. You would be inhuman if you could suppress them. Well, thank you for the great advice. I think you might keep things calm in my household. I might still have a household to go home to. And for all you kids and partners of us going through menopause, this is why we have wine. And we'll all get through this together. It just takes a few hugs, a few deep breaths. And stay tuned for our next episode where we're going to talk about some more issues around menopause. But in the meantime, we want to hear from you. Are you managing motherhood and menopause? And leave some comments for us. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Are you going through something you don't understand? Chia Chia here is really great at helping us understand what's happening to our bodies, our minds, and our families. So we look forward to seeing you next time.